Let's create a new file called first function. And then go ahead and open that with an editor of choice. All right, so remember that a good function is one that breaks down a task into a very specific piece. For instance, we want to ensure that users enter in good data. That's something that we're going to do over and over again. So let's write a function that will allow us to get good data. Okay, so in your code, let's create a function. We're going to call this function getInteger, or getInt. In this very first function, we won't have any parameters. We'll just have these two empty parentheses here, and then an open curly brace to indicate this is the beginning of a function. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a local variable to handle the input that we're going to get from the user. I'm going to call this function candidate. So this is the candidate for our integer. All right, so I want to get in information from the user. What do? We need to do a prompt, and then we need to parse int on that. So let's do this. We'll ask the user to please enter in a whole number. We as programmers know we mean an integer, but your layperson may not know that. All right, so once we have prompted the user for a number, what do we need to do? We want to check. We want to ensure that that number, that truly is a number. How do we do that? Is NaN, is not a number. Very good. So we'll say while is not a number, candidate, because if a user can be wrong once, they can be wrong many times. Okay, so we'll give them some sort of corrective feedback to the user.
Just break down their self-esteem.
Yeah, yeah. Once we have alerted the user to their error, what do we need to do? We need to prompt them again. And remember, a good programmer is a lazy programmer. Let's just copy that whole line and paste it in there. Are you using Notepad 2? Well, you should get this color-coded syntax highlighting.
Well, we don't.
Yeah, we do. This turns brown and this is green. You can see that.
And just for laughs, I always like to label my curly braces, so we're going to say end while. Okay. So now we want this thing to return to the place from which it came. How do I do that? Does anybody remember how I do that? Return. But I also want it to return a particular value because it's the piece that we're getting out. I want to return candidate. In fact, I want to put parentheses around that as well. Okay, so we're returning candidate. And now we're going to do a curly brace to end that function. All right. I guess we don't need this line anymore. All right. I need a variable name. I don't particularly care what the name is, but I need a name. Can I get a volunteer from the audience? Somebody want to say a gummy worm? All right. Gummy worm.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't know what you eat.
Gummy worm. Why did you say gummy worm? I don't know. Oh, okay. Okay.
So this next line here, gummy worm equals get int. So what we're going to do is when the program or when the browser encounters that line, it's going to jump to get int. It's going to do this code right here. And then when it says return candidate, whatever value candidate is, that's going to be set equal to gummy worm. Okay? So now let's output gummy worm.
Let's.
Okay, so we've written a function that will extract a whole number from the user. Not extract, but get. It would be painful. You're right, we skipped that whole entire piece, didn't we? We'll add it in later, how about that? All right, now, assuming that I have done everything correctly, let's see how we did. Okay, so please enter in a whole number. Type in 10. Dummy, that is not a whole number. Try again, that works. Keeps on working, we'll type in 10. The value of gummy worm is 10. Okay. Everything has worked correctly so far. Are you with me all? All right, is everybody with me so far?
15.
Kimberly, is yours working? April, can you give her a hand?
Why did